last 400,000-year period.
Todd, Dr. Hinckley, a feller cannot help but notice that when the CO2 is high, the temperature is high. CO2 is low, the temperature is low. Moving together in lockstep, if you will. We're over here, and this one's still going up.
We're already almost straight up today at 360 parts per million, which is much higher than it's been at any time in this last 400,000 years, and we think longer.
So where is the temperature line going? We don't know.
The physics would say that as we burn our fossil fuels and burn trees in our forests, that as the carbon dioxide increases, the temperature should at least eventually increase substantially.
Huh. The sky's the limit, I guess.
The whole global warming thing is all about hemp.
Yeah.
The oil companies, they got rid of hemp because it's like, no, we want to make this fake stuff out of oil.
Yeah.
Nylon and rayon and crayon.
Yeah.
And that stuff's fake and not as good as hemp.
Right.
So let's just crank up the smokestack and make nylon, right? Right? And what do we get? Hotter, right?
Right.
So we're gonna need hemp clothes because nylon doesn't breathe.
The same thing that keeps the Earth warm enough for us to live here may make the Earth too warm for us to live here. I refer, of course, to the greenhouse effect. The effect is a result of having certain gases in our atmosphere, the greenhouse gases, like methane, chlorofluorocarbons, water vapor, and carbon dioxide. They all trap heat. The energy in sunlight passes right through these gases on the way in, hits the Earth's surface, changes to heat, and then gets trapped by the greenhouse gases on its way back toward outer space. Now, over here in this box, we can add a little extra carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. So, turning this valve is like turning on your cars or your fossil fuel power plants, or it's like cutting down forests. Now there's a lot more CO2 in this tank than in this one. Now we have to wait a few minutes. Take a look at the temperatures. The temperature in the tank with extra CO2 in it is just a few degrees higher than the temperature in the box with just regular air. Now, a few degrees can be a big deal when you're a planet.
You've heard about global chilling and how we're entering an ice age, and how most of us will perish in freezing agony as we're slowly crushed in its icy tentacles of death. But perhaps it doesn't have to end that way. Here are a few things you can do to stop global chilling. To stop global chilling, we need to warm the atmosphere with high levels of gases like methane. To get more methane, instead of cleaning up our garbage, we could bury it in a big, stinky landfill. And we really need more carbon dioxide. I know trees are lovely, but if you cut them down and set them on fire, that releases a lot of gas. So start thinking of trees as the devil and burn them. But the best way an individual can release CO2 is with one of these, a car. So if anyone out there knows how to invent the car, now is the time to do it. And if you know how to invent an SUV, even better. Those are just a few of the things you can do to stop global chilling. Sorry, Thor. I thought you were a woolly mammoth. Oh, yeah, just pull it out.
The Northwest Passage, a mythic trip from Europe to Asia across the top of the world. Sailors have sought this sea route for centuries, but they were unable to find it because of all the ice. So many died, starving and freezing, trying to find it. But soon, this navigator's holy grail may become a reality because the Arctic zone is warming faster than anywhere else on Earth. So the ice will melt and it will be possible to get from Europe to Asia without having to go through the Panama Canal. And that would be a savings of 8,000 kilometers. And for the super tankers that are too big to fit through the canal, they won't have to go around Cape Horn, a savings of 25,000 kilometers. So this could be great. We can get oil back and forth up here that much faster and burn it that much quicker and put carbon dioxide into the atmosphere that much sooner. The Northwest Passage. Is this good news or just news?
Welcome back to BBN News. A new report shows that the United States is largely responsible for global warming. The Yankee sods currently emit over 25% of the excess greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, as these thick-as-plank citizens average 6.6 tons of greenhouse emissions per person every year. Because of the actions of these gormless former subjects, Glacier National Park could lose all of its glaciers by 2070. And, thanks to these grotty little mouth breathers, the cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C. now bloom 7 days earlier than they did in 1970. And now, on to cricket, where the English national team once again lost to some idiots from France. France.
Wow, that guy's pretty upset with us. But to understand why, we need to go back in time. Imagine life in the 1800s. If you wanted to run to the store, you had to hitch up the horses or walk. If you wanted a new dress, you had to sew it. If you wanted to bake a cake, stoke up the fire. A little butter for your bread? Well, milk the cow and churn the butter. A drink of water? Start pumping. Life was hard. Then came the steam engine, the prime mover of the Industrial Revolution. It was the first of many engines that converted heat into mechanical work. Steam engines pulled trains, ran textile mills, spun machine shops, and rolled iron and steel. We could do a lot with energy to burn. We built bigger bridges and faster trains, then automobiles. We could mass produce them, and people could drive anywhere, anytime, for anything. Life was good. But the price tag for all the success was pollution and carbon dioxide. You know what I'm talking about. You can see why the rest of the world might be upset with us. I mean, the U.S. has only 5% of the world's population, but we emit 25% of the world's CO2. In 1997, the UN got started on global warming by hammering out the Kyoto Protocol. This charter would require countries or regions to reduce their emissions by significant fractions by 2012. The European Union, Japan, and Russia are among the developed countries that have signed and ratified the treaty and are working hard to hold up their ends. The United States withdrew from the protocol and as of 2005 has